today. But yeah, it's the Armoury TV. Arsenal won, Sporting won. However, it's gone to penalties. And Arsenal, unfortunately, didn't do what they had to do. So we're getting to the intro and then we're going to get the reaction. Yes, people, we're back in the business. Yeah, it's a frustrating evening for us Arsenal fans today. G, how you keeping?
Brother, before that game, I was blessed, fam. Man went gym, man run 5K. Do you know what I'm saying? Man did a weight session. I was feeling good. I was feeling pumped. And then I had to, well, I was about to swear. Then I had to witness that. So yeah, I'm good. I'm still good, but I'm I'm gutted, and I'm not very happy if I'm honest.
Yeah,
So yeah,
we're gonna get into all of that in a bit. To be fair, let's bring in Albert first. Albert, how you keeping?
Gumsa, nice to meet you finally. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
Listen,
bro.
despite the result, and it is very disappointing, but it's good to come on and talk to you guys, man. Honestly.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go straight into it. G, what are you more frustrated with, the result or the two injuries?
I'm
Because
disappointed. I'm disappointed with the performance over the two legs. I think for the first time this season across two games with the same opposition, we were largely outplayed. I don't think it was. Um, I think if you look at the chances in the two games, I think you could probably say it's pretty much even. We had some really good chances, but for me, the performance was poor. I think we were lucky to get a 2-2 draw in Portugal. And I think playing at home, I was very confident given our home form, given that we were going to go with a bit of a stronger side. And also given the fact that Sporting don't really travel well in Europe against English opposition. So yeah, I mean, you reflect on a result, and I mean, there's a lot of things that have pissed me off tonight. I mean, the injuries have not been ideal. The fact that we played extra time has not been ideal, and obviously the fact that we've gone out of Europe. I want to win every single competition we play in, and we've not won many European competitions. So I thought this was a real good opportunity, given the football we played this season, where we could get, we could get a European trophy. But more, I think the overriding disappointment for me was across two legs. We've been, for me, significantly outplayed against a side that, I mean, on paper we should be beating.
mm-hmm. Albert, do you share the sentiment? How did you go into this game? Was you one of those where you didn't really give two monkeys about it before the game, or was you a bit like myself and G Talks, where now you have to go on and try and win these competitions as well as go for the Premier League?
Yeah, listen, I'm lucky. I always say this. I'm lucky enough to have been alive to see us with our last European trophy. It's been too long. We don't really have a good record in Europe. We've lost quite a few finals as opposed to winning them. I mean, it wasn't even alive for one of the European trophies we did win. So that shows that the pedigree is not fantastic. I think at this stage of the season, I was never under. I never had the impression of going for one or the other. I think at this stage of the season, you're in the knockout stages of an European competition. You're doing well in the league as Arsenal are doing. You go for both. This is not the start of a season conversation. We've got 11 Premier League games to go. And G's punch over the two legs for large periods of the match. Both games, I thought Arsenal were poor. I thought it was very poor, actually. I thought the passing was awful in the first leg, and I actually don't think it got any better in the second half of the home tie. I think these are professional footballers, man. I don't understand. And listen, no taking nothing away from Sporting Lisbon. They were excellent. They came and the way they outworked us and outpressed us when they lost possession and gained it back was excellent. Even with the subs we bought on, we stabilized it a little bit, but by and large, Gumsa, like in European football, especially in knockout stages, you have to retain the ball well. And unfortunately, over both legs, we didn't do that at all.
I agree with both what you're saying, to be fair. But let's get into the starting 11. Um, was you happy with the starting 11? It kind of showed the intent, what Arteta had in his mind. He wasn't, do you know what I mean? The fact that Turner didn't play showed me Arteta wants to win this game. We saw one change into the back four, which was Tomiyasu, Jorginho and Xhaka in midfield. Vieira came in for Odegaard. Saka had a rest for Reece Nelson. And then obviously Jesus starting. But that 11, Martinelli obviously started. That 11 is very, very strong. Do you feel he made, in hindsight, it's easy to look back and say, well, it was a bad choice because Saliba come off, Tomiyasu come off. I don't think Jesus was injury. I reckon his was a pre-planned. He's going to play 45 minutes today. Because obviously he's just come back from injury and he played 15, 20 minutes the other day. So I don't think that one was an injury, but the other two obviously came off. But was you happy with the 11? Did it show the intent? Do you think Arteta got it right or wrong?
I mean, in terms of the 11, I was happy with the 11 that he put out. I think at the end of the day, we have a squad. And I think for the large part of this season, Arteta's played very much a similar side, but, you know, it's a long season. We have to be able to depend on our squad and not only our, you know, maybe our first choice, you know, 11 players. I think he picked a side that was able to win that game. I think the players have let him down over the two legs. For some reason, and I don't know what other people's opinions are, but even in the group stages of the Europa League, I just don't feel like we've been able to replicate the form and the performances that we've seen so consistently in the Premier League. I don't think we've been able to replicate that in Europe. And we somewhat got away with it because of the quality of the opposition in the group stages. This Sporting side are very, very good, technically, very, very good. Very good at retaining the ball, keeping the ball, and pressing. And I think we've just come up short. I think we've performed in a very similar vein to how we did in the group stages, but yet the opposition we're playing are just that level better than what we had in the group stages. So we've been found out. So I honestly can't put any blame on Arteta for this. I think the squad selection, I think the team selection was good. I mean, there were no raised eyebrows. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, Tomiyasu, Ben White, it's a like for like. I mean, we've seen Jorginho come in and do a really good job as an understudy for Partey. Vieira's, you know, showed glimpses and performances this season where we can call upon him, you know, if we're going to not play Odegaard. And yeah, I mean, the front, like I'm looking, I didn't look at that team that he selected and thought, oh, we're going to be, you know, we're going to have trouble tonight. He has to be able to trust his squad. You know, there's no way, you know, we've, a lot of sections of the Arsenal fan base, including myself, have called for, you know, rotation to give, you know, minutes to players across the squad. And I feel like even though he probably hasn't done that at certain points, I think he picked a team capable of winning tonight's game. For me, the performance wasn't there. It just wasn't there. It wasn't there in the first leg. It wasn't there in the second leg across, you know, the 90 minutes. We seem to play the football we're used to in extra time. Sporting got tired. I think Odegaard made a huge difference coming on. We absolutely controlled the game from that point, but it was just too little, too late. And for me, the better side across the two games progressed.
Yeah,
I think how does that sounds? That's facts for me.
Yeah, I think up until extra time, you assess it how you want to assess it. I think they were physically looked impressive over the two legs. They done to us what we do to teams where we couldn't get out at stage. We couldn't even find a pass, and it was a lot of times we were just giving them that possession. I haven't seen us kick from goal kicks that often. The amount of times Ramsdale just didn't. Obviously, the way they set up man for man, they wasn't scared of us. So it forced us to kick long a lot of times from goal kicks, which also I haven't seen often. Like normally we persevere with playing from the floor until maybe it's the 85th minute, we're winning 2-1 right now. Let's just keep it simple. So there was an element of our game where I don't think we took enough risk with certain things, especially when we have possession from a goal kick. It was too easy just to bang it long, and we're just handing them back possession, and then they come again wave after wave. So I do agree with you. I think over the two legs, I also look at then who made the most important saves. Now, until Trossard, forced a great save from their keeper. I feel our keepers were worked harder over the two legs. Um, I'm not sure how you feel about that, Albert. Like the 11, the two legs. Do you feel we just weren't up to scratch? And like G Talk said, we haven't been our best on a Thursday night this season. There's been games where we've struggled across the line. It went down to the last game for us to get top spot, didn't it? Like we haven't been great on a Thursday, and I know there's been more heavy rotation on Thursday. But yeah, is this yeah? How are you viewing it, Albert? Is it the European style? Maybe come up a bit short. Is it just Is it just one of those things? What would you look at?
You know what? I mentioned this before that you mate. I don't in the first leg. I don't think he would have made 6 changes if it wasn't through injury and the illness throughout the camp, because that's a lot of changes, particularly to go away from home in the first leg of the knockout stage of European competition. However, that's what you have a squad for, and a lot of those players that played are fringe players that need to come in and make a difference. You know, we're at the point of the season where it's getting a bit tasty. These guys need to come in and help the group of 13, 14 core players that have got us this stage of the season thus far. Without Jesus and with injuries, you know, to the likes of Zinchenko and Partey were out for a significant time. And you saw it again in the second leg with 5 changes. I was actually pleased with the team lineup. It's a lot stronger. A lot of Arsenal fans wanted Ramsdale in goal, and he came back in tonight. That was a surprise to me. I thought it was stick with Turner. He didn't. Nothing personal against Matt Turner, but I think Ramsdale gives that stability to the back line. And that relationship is already there and it's been formed. But Gums, I'll come to what I said before. Your ball retention is key. Essentially, I thought it was awful. Just continually turning over the ball. And it just got contagious throughout the team. If it was Ben White, it was Vieira, Jorginho, Zinchenko. You can't do that. You can't. This is a decent sign. And many people said it when we got the draw. This is not going to be easy. And to be fair, the lion's share of Arsenal fans that I know, there wasn't any complacency. There wasn't any arrogance. There wasn't any cockiness. This could have happened. Maybe not penalties, but you know, it could have happened. And they came over large periods. They came and bossed it, man. And even they almost gave us a gift wrap in extra time with the Trossard shots. But by and large, when you sort of reflect over it, it's disappointing because listen, I winning trophies is what you play the game for, and as football fans, is what your team you want to do. And us as Arsenal fans, it's been a painful relationship with Europe. Being out of the Champions League for a long time, losing a lot of European finals. And I concur with what G said actually, and it's not too strong to say. I think the players let him down over 2 legs. Sorry, I know people can talk about the substitutions. Yes, they can enforce ones. Yes, they can derail the side. I get it. However, that was a strong enough team to get the job done within the 90 or whether it be extra time, and they didn't do it. And who knows, Gumsa, it won't feel like it tonight, but it might be a blessing in disguise. Because a lot of Arsenal fans are saying, "Oh, we can't do both." Well, we've got one to concentrate on now.
Yeah. And again, sometimes you need a little kick at the backside, and it's come tonight, hopefully, for the players, rather than maybe on Sunday where we play Palace. So let's just see how they bounce back. But before you lot go,
I was going to say that what we need to see now is a reaction, because, and to be fair, we've seen that from this side a couple of times this season, where you know, backs have been against the wall. We've had blips, you know, we've kind of had a lot of ups. We've also had downs. But what we need to see now, obviously, going into the Palace game on Sunday, Palace are in wretched form. No win in 2023. Vieira's under huge pressure. We're playing at home. Everything, you know, suggests that this is going to be somewhat of a banker for us. But tonight's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. You know, it's going to be a huge disappointment. So it's going to be up to Arteta and the coaching staff and some of those, you know, some of those leaders that we know we do have in that squad to pick the rest of the guys up, because we've got no time to soak. We've got no time to wallow. You know, we need to just basically get back on the training field, get prepped, and go and beat Palace, because it's a huge game. We've got the opportunity now to go into the international break, potentially 8 points ahead of City, albeit they'll have a game in hand. So tough night, man, tonight. I mean, you know, even though you know, if we feel the way we feel, and we haven't felt this often this season. But you can imagine what the mood is like in the dressing room right now.
Before you lot go off, because I know obviously we're going to do the show a bit different today. We've got 2 guests on now. They're going to bounce pretty soon, and 2 new guests are coming in. Don't want it to be all doom and gloom. We will get into the goal we conceded, and I think that comes back to us just giving away cheap possession. But anyone in this team that stood out for you today, any positives you can take from this game? I'll go to you first, Albert.
Oh dear. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think there was a lot of positives. I thought when we got the goal, we did control possession a little bit better. But unfortunately, when it comes to second half, it started off like the first half. But yeah, I'm scratching, man. I'll be honest, Ramsdale made a key save, to be fair to him, and he's done it quite a few times this season that goes quietly unnoticed. But yeah, I don't really. Odegaard came on and assured things a bit better, but that's quite late in the game. We're talking extra time here, so yeah, not too many stood out for me tonight, mate. To be honest.
Yeah, how about yourself, G? Any performances?
Yeah, I echo what Albert said. I think Ramsdale, albeit obviously, I don't blame him for the goal. By the way, on the record, I've already had this argument with a couple of Arsenal fans already, and I'm prepared to have it with many more Arsenal fans. He's a sweeper goalkeeper. You don't concede many of those in your career. It was hit so sweetly.
Great goal. Fantastic goal.
He gave Ramsdale absolutely no chance. The way Ramsdale plays is one of the reasons why we play such good football, you know, in terms of he plays kind of like, you know, as a sweeper goalkeeper. So I think that save literally kept us in the game at that point. So that was a positive. I thought Odegaard, as Albert said, came on, and I think the whole complexion of the game changed. I think maybe if we had a bit more time, we might have sneaked the winner. I think the only other positive I can really, you know, kind of draw is I thought Gabriel had a really good game. I thought he was absolutely solid. I think a lot of the time his performances, his reliability, his consistency really does go under the radar with our fan base. For me, he was absolutely immense.
I agree with you.
He almost got the winner, you know, later on in the match. And that would have been fantastic if it had gone in. But yeah, for me, Ramsdale, Odegaard, cameo, and Gabriel throughout the game was solid.
I agree with you on Gabriel. I think he was the one shining light in that whole game. His level didn't drop. He looked. Do you know what I mean? Again, sometimes we watch football, Premier League football. Every player in the Premier League can play football. Do you know what I mean? There's not a bad player in the Premier League, really and honestly. But there's just levels sometimes, isn't it? Or just that consistency some players bring, or just a thought. And that's what Odegaard brings, isn't it? Yes, a lot of his passes didn't come off. Some he overhit, some he underhit. But I can't get mad at him, man, when they're trying to create something. They're taking the risky passes. So you have to allow for a few errors there. But yeah, Gabriel to me was solid. I agree with Odegaard for his energy. And I think that injuries is kind of, it hampered us a bit because if you had one more sub, you could have done in normal time. You may have seen him
forced in it
for 20 minutes before the end of the foot. Yeah, so it's but again, that's luck sometimes, isn't it? We sometimes get them, sometimes you don't. And I know G just touched on the goal we conceded. What a great finish it was.
It was. Sometimes you just got to hold your hands up in it and just go absolute amazing strike.
The goal was coming. Yeah. It was coming. It was coming.
Got a couple of guys in the comments. Arteta should have brought on Partey before the goal. Their goal was coming, and he should have recognised that. Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? I think my only issue is, and people know, people think it's agenda-based. It's not agenda-based, but I've seen too many errors from the same person at the same situations. And as much as he brings a lot of quality, it's the same for the penalty we gave away earlier in the season when someone gives a bad pass and someone else has to react to it. Like, people were going mad at Gabriel. I think it was at the Southampton game or one of the games there where he gave away a pen. And my issue was actually the pass that got given to him was absolutely terrible, and it was a similar mistake again today. So for all his good things, there's a lack of quality, and this is where. But we will address that at the end of the season. And that it is what it is. It is what it is. With that, again, can have a fantastic game, but it's them slight, and that's the difference, isn't it? With some players, again, it's the Vieira Odegaard debate where Vieira's doing things well, but he's just not Odegaard yet. Do you know what I mean? There's levels to this thing sometimes. So, yeah, it is what it is. Partey, you can see what he brings. However, Jorginho, the first goal comes from him. That
Yeah,
pass,
great pass.
yeah, talking about that, Albert, like the quality
And,
on the pass through to Martinelli.
yeah, a lot of teams I've seen in recent games when Jorginho has played, they do target him because if you give him time to play from a deep line position, he can pick a pass. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was a quality bit of play. To be fair to him. But yeah, there wasn't many times during tonight where Arsenal showed any kind of fluidity because their counter press, man, was really impressive, man, and it made a difference. We just didn't have any ball retention. There was very sporadic moments where Arsenal even penetrated really or worked their goal. We had some chances, but yeah, whole round performance just not ideal, man.
100%. Right. On that note, guys, I'm gonna say love you and leave you to Albert and G. We're gonna bring on 2 new panelists. So, guys, thank you for jumping in. I'm sure. Hopefully, I'll see you on the weekend. Hopefully, we'll be in a bit of a better mood after the Palace game.
We moved.
But yeah, it was lovely having you on, hearing your thoughts. So, I'm gonna say goodnight to you two.
All right, bro. See you soon.
Good night, man. Good night, chat room. Yeah, Gumsa, do your thing, bro. Bless up.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see who we got coming through. And let's see if King's there. Hold on. Yes, he's here in the building. What's going on? This is the second part of our reaction show. We've got my guy GunnerKing with me, not looking too happy. And the name's KB Sports. Can you introduce yourself to the panel?
Good evening, gentlemen. Yeah, my name's Karl from KB Sports. Do a lot of Arsenal FC content. That's my show up there. You see in the top right-hand corner, the Gun Down Show. I came off a live stream doing a watch-along for this game, and yeah, my facial expressions is telling the whole story, frankly.
I hear you. Big up yourself, Karl. Big up King. Let me just get to this comment quickly. Mr. Gunner Maestro, hope you're well. Sounds like you're going through it today with us. Lost for words. 5 games to the final, 2 games in April, 2 games in May. No big 6 side we play in between. Yes, it's not a bad run until that City kind of run. City, Newcastle, Chelsea. So hopefully we can put a lot of points on the board. But yeah, it's a difficult one to take. But anyway, let's focus back on this game. Karl, you're my new guest, so we're going to come to you first. How you feeling? What you thought of this game and the tie in general against Sporting, the 2 legs? Because G Talks and that was saying earlier they feel Sporting were the better team over the 2.
Yeah, he's 100% correct. For me personally, watching that, the second half just in general was a nice sort of watch. We couldn't string a single pass together. It was sloppy play, giving the ball away on endless times. We knew that Sporting were going to eventually score at some point because when we got the first goal, Sporting were actually now starting to probe us a lot more. And you could just tell after wave in attack, they were going to eventually put one in. I never realized it was going to come from an absolute worldie, which was an absolute worldie of a kick. Don't get me wrong. And Ramsdale got caught, but he is a sweeper keeper. And that's who he is. But just the apathetic, the slow build-up play, it was just not good. It was just not a good performance tonight. And when Saka, Partey came on, you started to see something more of us come through. And then Odegaard come on, and all of a sudden we started attacking them like we know we do in the Premier League. What I don't get was I saw the lineup and I thought, okay, so you start Jesus up top. Fair enough. Okay, you've got Reece Nelson and you got Martinelli. That should be a strong enough attack to probably finish the game off. The midfield, would I have preferred to have Partey in over Jorginho? I actually had him a lineup Jorginho to start over Partey, just because we're wrapping him up in cotton wool.
Yeah.
Xhaka, I wanted him to play. He did play. Pablo Vieira, look, technical ability, he's got it. He has got the technical ability, but he has got about the same amount of strength as I have. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. He'd get pushed off the ball far too easily. And they knew, and Sporting in the second half, they attacked Vieira. They bundled him off the ball, and then they were straight on the counter. It was just ridiculous. Look, Gabriel Magalhaes, I thought to me was my man of the match. I thought he was outstanding in defense. I keep having this moan all the time about Zinchenko not being a proper fullback and actually overlapping Martinelli to give him some space. Every time Martinelli had the ball on the left-hand side, he was on his own. There was no one overlapping him. At closest, he had Granit Xhaka or Vieira to come inside. No one was overlapping him. And it was the same. And it was the same with It was the same with Reece Nelson on the other side. Ben White wasn't overlapping them as such. It was just a poor game from start to finish. And the penalties, look, penalty shootout is a penalty shootout at the end of the day. Ramsdale went the right way 4 times and still couldn't get a hand on it. He got a hand onto one, but just, you got to have strong wrists when you're a penalty stopper. You've got to. Just a poor game. And over the 2 legs, do you know what? Sporting really have showed that, they are actually a good team. But I think if Arsenal just had that more quality and had the cutting edge, like we've seen in past weeks and months on the Premier League, we would have buried this slot. But not tonight. We didn't have it. We just did not have it tonight. So congratulations, Sporting. This is why on my title under my name it says legal bust, because that's what we're in now. It's legal bust.
I agree with you. We're going to bring King in. King, how you feeling? Thoughts on this match, the tie? Take it away. Sorry, Karl. Brilliant roundup as well, by the way. Just give you the mic and let you go. But yeah, King, something similar, please.
Yeah, man. Disappointing. I think, yes, we were poor over the 2 ties. This isn't a cop-out, though. That's the best I've seen any team play at the Emirates this season.
By far, yeah.
Sporting were outstanding. Now, listen, we weren't at our best, but these lot, I think their front 3, the way that they played quite narrow, that we went into our kind of like build-up shape, where we go to the 3 or where we go to the 2. That's where they were pressing us. You know what I mean?
Brave. So, they were really brave, weren't they?
They were, I think the tenacity, the intensity, and the accuracy with which they pressed that area when we were trying to get out was impressive. Honestly, like I was thoroughly impressed with the way that Sporting play with the ball as well. I think they were exceptional. That Edwards guy, I've seen enough. I want him. I said it in the first tie. I said it after the first tie. I want him badly. And to time of what Karl said about why Zinchenko wasn't overlapping, I think very early on, Edwards kind of let him know that he was there, and it was just kind of a situation whereby if I get caught, I think there was one where the keeper just played the ball forward, and Zinchenko had to come back in the first half, and luckily got a foot in when he's cut inside and got a shot off. And I think what that did was that pinned Zinchenko back, whereas like he couldn't quite maraud forward in the way that he had been used to, because this guy's quick, technical, retains the ball well, recycles the ball well if he can't sort of get his shot off or sort of find a ball into the final third. And I think look, if I really look at the performance in the first half, we got the goal against the run of play. We have to be honest. I think, yes, it was a well-worked goal. Jorginho with an excellent pass to cut open the defence. But I think, you look at their defender, that Juice guy, whenever you get him on the other side of him, he is rapid. Honestly, the recovery pace involved, they just defended so well, but for me, the main disappointment really is, for me, it is the European silverware thing. You've heard me say this. Obviously, like we had this out, earlier on, sort of debating like where the priority should lie. For me, we need to win a European trophy. And I think I was really looking at the Europa League as an opportunity to, sort of cement that. We've been doing really well this season, in the league. I think, we've been one of the best performing teams in the league. And when you compare the performances of the best teams in Europe, we've been right up there. And I think it is just that case of when we are on that stage and it has been that long, we don't feel as assured, we don't feel as comfortable. And I think when you marry that in with making certain changes to keep your first 11 fresh, that kind of disjointment of the continuity of play from not using the first 11 with those nerves of having not won a European trophy in 29 years now, I think those two things really come together to kind of work against us. Now, that's the bitter pill to swallow, you know, like, because for me, I've said all along, it's the completed cabinet that I really look at. You know, the Europa League, Club World Cup, Super Cup, Champions League. They're the only things left that I need to see us win now. And I think you can really tell that there is this kind of. I think I don't want to say like a I don't want to say that we're passive in these games, but I think it does really play, you know, like onto our minds, you know, the weight of that drought, you know, that really is set into the players and the club at the moment, and that's the unfortunate thing about tonight. I mean, Sporting were good over the two legs. I don't think we've beaten better teams this season. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like we, you know, I think when you look at Man United, when you look at Liverpool, when you look at the performance we put in, when you look at the performance we put in against City, you know, like even though we lost, you know, like I think there was a lot more control there, you know, particularly in the first half. You know, like today we weren't at control for large periods of the game, which I haven't seen myself for a very long time, you know, and I think that was the disheartening thing. And you know, Ramsdale guessing the right way for the penalties, getting a hand to one going underneath him was a bit unlucky. I really feel for Martinelli. You know, like I think Saka went through it with the Euros, and now obviously with Martinelli, you know, sort of it happening with him and the penalty. And you know, we've all got to rally behind him, pick his head up, and you know, kind of, you know, help him dust himself off and go again. And yeah, it's a bitter pill to swallow. You know, I think Gabriel was excellent. I do agree with what everyone said. I think he was immense at the back, put in a really good performance. And now, you know, I think the positives to take are that we have bounced back from a lot of things. You know, I think when we missed out on top four, how we've bounced back to perform in the league this season. You know, the loss to Man United, an 8-game winning streak. I think we went on before we drew to Southampton or something like that. You know, the City situation. You know, Bournemouth being behind. You know, Villa being behind. There has been some bounce back ability in this squad that I think has been demonstrated. So the positive that I am taking is if we are to win this league title, I think that is the sort of jolt, you know, that we needed to kind of wake ourselves up from the lull of complacency. But yeah, for me, European silverware is a massive thing, bro. Like for me, it's getting harder, you know, to kind of just. I do think, you know, that it is around the corner with this squad, you know, as they grow together, and maybe that is some experience that they need to bounce back from when they are in Europe. You know, they can take that experience and that can forward them when we are on the European stage. But I was really looking to win the Europa League to take that confidence into the Champions League next season, and it was there. It was there for the winning. You know, like it's there for the taking. You know, I don't think there's any teams left, you know, in that competition that we haven't played better than. If we compare our peak level to any team left in the competition, ours is better. You know, like, but
I think there's only one team in Europe where I'd say actually is performing. Well, City, obviously, and the only other team I would say really and honestly is Napoli. Yeah, I wouldn't even like. Yes, Bayern on their day can beat anybody, but in terms of stylistically, I think Napoli are the team at the moment who, strike fear in most oppositions. But again, they're playing in a league which I don't want to be one of them typical fans say, "Oh, the Italian league's not as strong," because even in Europe they look like they're doing really well. But again, sometimes it's styles make fights. I haven't seen many teams, and yes, as much as Man United are a better team, say, than Sporting, Man United don't play with fear, but Sporting play with no fear. And again, it was We know you want to play out from the back. We're going to go man for man up there. We're going to squeeze the life out of your middle. And do you know the difference? When you have pace at the back, it allows you to squeeze that bit higher. And,
Yeah.
there's a comment here.
Yeah.
Let's find it. What went wrong from NS Sports TV? And for me, again, bit of the coaching head comes on sometimes. You're looking when a team squeezes. Again, when I'm coaching, we've had teams press, press, press. For me, it's your pace helps you out massively. So you play. Sometimes I say to my back line, play 2 passes. All you need to do is play 2 passes, which just draws them in, and then we might have to turn you. And we have got pace. Nelson looks rapid at the moment. Martinelli's fast, and we didn't really put into them channels for those guys to run. You might not win the ball, but all it does, it pushes their back line back because they're thinking, oh my god, we got to turn around and run back towards our own goal again. And sometimes that's enough to just give the midfield an extra yard or 2. And for me, I don't think we took the risk. It could have been 1 pass to Gabriel, who passed to Holding, who then turns it. And we might have done that 3 or 4 times, which might have just made them think, actually, because the centre backs, I'm going to say to my midfielders, oi, drop in a little bit, because I'm winning headers and it's dropping into no man's land and they're picking up second balls. Whereas we was just kicking it direct, and then they got bodies around it. We wasn't winning the second balls. And that, for me, was a big problem in the game. I know Gunnar Maestro is saying we had no legs in midfield. However, I think it was the turnovers rather than the legs. I think the first leg, you saw it sometimes, the legs in midfield, we struggled. But this game, I think it was definitely more about not maintaining possession, not having an out ball either. A lot of times we're winning the ball back on the edge of our box, and you look up and there's no one in front of you. And then you have to take a risk and try and hold on to it. But yeah, I could go on all day about the tactical side of things. We've all kind of said Gabriel's a big positive, but let's get into it. The injuries. Obviously, we saw Tomiyasu come off pretty early. He looked like he overstretched for a ball. His legs gave away, and he almost done the splits. He came off, and then after we scored, it cut to Saliba, and he's walking off the pitch. We saw him back on the subs bench towards later on in the game. He looked talking happy, smiling, laughing with the subs. So hopefully, it's nothing too serious. However, if Saliba's out, what do we do? Because Tomiyasu's out as well. So naturally, it'd be Tomiyasu coming at right back, Ben White going at centre back, and you carry on.
I'll
What
stop
would
you
okay?
there.
You said no straight away. So what are you going with?
The reason being why is because Holding came on for Saliba. Apart from a couple of instances where he gave the ball away, he was actually quite solid. Holding.
I agree.
He was quite solid. So if Saliba is going to be out for the Palace game, I will probably put Holding in there. And okay, the drop off is there and there, but at the same time, Holding actually did put up a good effort tonight. And I think the main mistake is claim to probably start alongside Gabriel on Sunday against Palace. But let's just hope injury to Saliba is either a tiny injury or maybe it is just a precaution. Maybe Arteta didn't like what he saw when he went down. He's like, "Yeah, I'm taking you off. We need you for the long run."
Yeah, as much as I echo what everyone says, we want to stay in this competition. We want to win it. The long-term effect of someone like Saliba picking up a big injury is a lot bigger. Even if we stayed in the competition, if he's out for the season, we're significantly weaker as well as the Premier League. So I'm hoping as well it wasn't too serious. But if he's not available this weekend, do you...
Sorry, Karl.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I think Holding did put in a good performance. My concern would be, can you push the line as high up with Holding in the back line? Does it affect how we transition into the 3 or the 2-3-5 kind of like in possession kind of like formation that we use when we're pushing forward, or even like you've seen like the box formation that they've been using in midfield to actually get a line of 6 to break down low blocks. What that is underpinned by is the athleticism and recovery pace of your 2 centre backs, and so yeah, that will be my one concern. But Holding did have a good game today, but I do think that we can't afford to miss Saliba, bro. Like that's massive. And the plus is we've only got the Palace game and then the international break, so hopefully that would be sufficient recovery time for anything that might be lingering. But yeah, we desperately need.
The best case scenario we can hope for is if Saliba misses the Palace game, gets through the international week, and then he misses the game against Leeds, we are definitely going to need him back for the away trip to Liverpool. So I just don't know if maybe those two games, they are winnable, but Palace haven't beaten Palace at home in about 4 years. I think all four games have all ended in draws, if I'm not mistaken. And Leeds fluctuate. They can have a very good day or they can have a really awful day. So it all depends.
I think the problem,
but yeah, we haven't beaten Palace at home in 4 years.
And I think the issue, what you're saying with those teams, Palace and Leeds, again, you look at the table, you see Fulham sitting comfortably in mid-table. You're thinking that's got to be surely the harder game. But we're at that stage of the season where these teams at the bottom are fighting for their lives, and
you know what I'm getting PTSD about. Last season, it was after the international break when we played Palace on that run of 3 games.
Yeah,
and now we've got them just before the break, and we've had 1 or 2 injuries in this game as well. It's looking all too similar, bro. Like, so yeah,
the only crumb of comfort is we haven't lost Partey. That was the only crumb of comfort, because if we lost him, then Jorginho can only do so much, but he's not Thomas Partey. Partey is just levels.
100%. It's, you see the difference as much as Jorginho brings, like you say, he brings a skill set which others haven't got, and we saw that with the pass. There's obviously a skill set that Partey's got which Jorginho doesn't have, and do you know what I mean? And it is noticeable to see. But yeah, we just have to keep riding on. It's frustrating to go out in this manner. Again, if we had picked a weakened team and went out, there'll be frustration. Let's not get it twisted. But you'd have thought 90 minutes, you've got beat, Partey rested, Odegaard rested the whole game. But to lose Saliba, to lose Tomiyasu, to have to play 120 minutes, go through all of that and still get beat, it's like,
by the way, Tomiyasu's skeleton is made of glass, bro. I love the guy when he plays, when he's fit. But I mean, now
rotten luck,
we're just seeing like a reoccurrence of this situation. As horrible as this sounds, man, I think we've got to address that in the summer.
Yeah, if he just had some rotten luck, looking at his record previous, and again, a bit like Partey, when no injuries and he comes to Arsenal and he starts breaking down, and again, it's just a slip, isn't it? And legs have gone from underneath him, and you just saw it. He stretched right out, and so hopefully it's nothing too major as well in his shape, because he can't seem to get a run together at the moment. So, we'll see what happens there. But let's get into some player ratings before we bounce. Let's start with the keeper, Ramsdale. Actually, before we go into player ratings, what is your thoughts on the goal we conceded? Again, there's a lot of talk of Ramsdale. For me, it's positioning. He's going to start high up. He's got to. He's a sweeper keeper. This is how we play. My issues with what happened before, which I spoke about earlier. But King, what's your kind of take on the goal?
Well, this is the thing as well. Like, I can't blame Ramsdale. I agree with G when I was listening to him earlier. The one, in a normal circumstance, our keeper has to play a bit higher because of how high our line plays. But then when you're swapping out Saliba for Holding, and the drop off in pace is more significant, he's going to have to compensate for that by pushing that bit higher. Because if the ball does get played in behind, he doesn't have the matching recovery pace that Saliba does to be able to turn and meet his man, if the man gets behind him. And when you've got players like Edwards, the Goncalves, you've got all these quick players, like Sporting have got a lot of pace in their attacking line, and the midfielders that join into the attack as well, that they're interchange. So
even the centre back, he goes marauding forward,
that huge guy, like that run he went on in the first half, bro. Like, listen, like, and that's the thing, that all these things align with your goalkeeper having to play that little bit even higher than tactically how he set out. So look, it was an unbelievable strike, man. You know what I mean? Like, you see it, like it was hit cleanly. Nah, you couldn't. That's the sort of thing you probably try and train in like 100 times and get right like once or twice, and that was just one of those times where he got it right. Like, I can't really fault him for it. I think the loss of possession in midfield, with I think it was Xhaka that tried to play a pass to Jorginho. I think he tried to play the pass for Jorginho to run onto. Just play it to his feet there, man. Play it to his feet there. Like, And look, I don't want to get on Xhaka too much. I know you're a bit more inclined to, but I mean, he did get us the goal that kept us in the tie, and overall, he still had a good season. But yeah, I think that's where that would be more what I would look at than the goalkeeper's positioning, as to why that goal went in. But look, as I said, you know, like for me, it's just splitting hairs a bit. You know, like I think
I think the hard thing with Xhaka,
you know, the press of these guys actually made that pass look worse as well. Do you know what I mean?
And it's what I will give Xhaka a bit of leeway, because again, you've been with me many a time, and I do feel he's limited. I really do, and it shows up for me every game. But he wasn't the only one today who gave away possession like that. He's just unfortunate that it was his one that got punished, because everybody, and I mean everybody, gave away a sloppy pass today. Like, it's not just on one person. It's just, and again, this is where keepers and centre backs have it harder, because my striker could give away possession as many times as he want, but you now got to get through my whole team before you score, so it gets unnoticed. But normally, if a keeper or centre back does it, they get absolutely punished for it. We saw Ramsdale almost gave away one on Sunday, didn't he? Against Fulham, or Saturday, whenever the game was. But yeah, it's what about yourself, Karl? Do you feel Ramsdale, or is it just a great finish and sometimes you just have to applaud it?
I had to watch the replay of it over again, because when you watched it in in full time mode, it was like, how the hell has that gone in? That was my first reaction on my live stream, was how the hell did that go in? And then you see it over and over again. And yes, Ramsdale is way off his line. He's like 2/3 of the way inside of his box. But in order to get that ball in the back of the net, that's got to have the correct height, the correct amount of power, correct arc on the ball to get over the top and get in between the keeper and the bar. That's basically like sticking the ball through the posts in rugby. You've got to be so accurate in a tight angle. And that was, I give credit to the guy who scored it. It was a cracking goal.
It was gone class, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was gone class.
That's another player I like, you know.
There's 3 players we like of Sporting already. So.
Yeah, they got a few players in there. As I said, I haven't seen the centre back as quick as that St. Just. Like, he is rapid. You know, you know what they said? He's got the fastest rating on FIFA, isn't it? 93. He's clocked a speed of 26 miles an hour. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, he's rapid.
That run in the first half when he just ran through like 4 of us, I was just like, what?
Yeah. And you know, I'm not sure you remember, their system reminded me very, very similar of Sheffield United when they first came in the Prem. And do you remember when Sheffield United first come up? Teams were looking like, how do you deal with this? Like, it's very unorthodox. The centre backs are bombing on, like, and I watched that today, and I was like, again, it comes down to athleticism. They've got across the whole board. They've got a whole team of athletes. Even the centre back, Diamonde, he's strong, physical, quick recovery. Yeah. So yeah, they've got a system that works for them. But the talk out of Portugal is that a lot of them are rating this manager higher than kind of Mourinho at this stage of his career. So it'd be interesting to see what he goes on to do, because him and De Zerbi look like 2 up and coming managers who big teams should be looking at.
The thing is as well, yeah, like, it's not like they weren't just like pressing. It weren't just it's kind of, there is an element of us to them, yeah, where like Arteta puts the pace and the power in, but then with the ball as well, the triangles, the movement off the ball to kind of like, you know, drag people out of position, like the interchanging, like they are slick passes, like they're a good side, man. They're a good side, and listen, like I want to credit them, to be honest. Like,
100%.
You know, like, I'm not trying to cop out. I do think we could have performed better, but they were exceptional. I'm telling you, no one has played that good at the Emirates this season. No one in the Premier League, bro. And you can say what you want about, we subbed out 1 or 2 of our best players or whatever. I don't think it would have been any different. They would have like the result, maybe, but I mean, like they still would have given us a tough game. That is a very good fight.
There still would have been 20-minute periods where they had control of the game like they did, even with Partey starting, isn't it? Like,
yeah. You're right. That manager as well, he's been linked to a lot of, apparently Tottenham are interested in him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think a few other clubs are looking at him, basically. But credit to him, man. Credit to that team, man. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to take your hat off and just say,
100%.
You know what? They deserved it. They deserved it. I mean, like, the better team won on the night. And probably over the course of the 2 legs, we were quite lucky to get the equalizers. Both of them were quite fortuitous in the first
Yeah,
leg.
if
So
you think the first leg,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right, you're right.
it is
Cool.
what it is, bro. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
for real. Right, let's move on to some player ratings before we bounce out of here. And yeah, sorry, just say big up on Monday in the building. Hope you're well. I've seen a lot of rival fans today. I ain't seen you lot in a little while, you know. Where you been hiding? But you know, it's good to see everyone here. I see Diablo Davis is here. We got NS Sports. We got Monday in the building. So yeah, good to see you all. Hopefully you come and join us again. Well, actually, hopefully you don't join us on Sunday because it means we've won if you're not with me. So hopefully I don't see you this weekend. But let's get into some player ratings. As our new guest, Kyle, we're going to let you go first. Ramsdale, what are you giving him?
Considering there's only 2 players I'm going to give very high marks for in this game, I'm probably going to give Ramsdale 8 out of 10. There was like 2 or 3 saves, especially one that hit him full on in the face. That was critical to us. He single-handedly kept us in that game while we were playing like utter garbage in that second half. So 8 out of 10 for me when it comes to Ramsdale.
Not bad. All right, King. We're not going to score Tomiyasu. He went on the pitch for like 7 minutes or so we won't score him. But Ben White, what would you give him?
He was all right. I think, like, yeah. I mean, I'll probably give him a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We score Saliba. I'll give him a 6. But yeah, obviously he wasn't on for very long. But he played enough with a game where we didn't really control it. So yeah, I'll give him a 6. Gabriel. Oh, Karl, it looks like you get another good one.
He was my man of the match. Well, we didn't win, but he was the best player for us on the field. 9 out of 10. Gabriel Magalhaes has come on leaps and bounds since the start of the season.
I hear that. We'll throw Holding in now as well. So he did come on in the first half. King, what would you give Holding today?
I'll give him a 7. I think he was solid. I think him and Gabriel were making a lot of blocks in that defense. There was a lot of shots that they got off for the most part, were all blocks. So a bit unlucky with the header in the corner. I think, you know, like didn't quite get his head over it.
Yeah, too much power. Got too much good connection, didn't he? Really?
Yeah, like he kind of like got a bit underneath it. You know, like. But look, I think all things considered, he had a good performance. So yeah, I'll give him a 7.
Coolio. Means I get Zinchenko. I'll give him a 6. I think he defended one-on-one pretty well. Does what he does, inverted well, but yeah, just didn't really have the impact we've seen in other weeks. So get a 6 from me. We're moving to the midfield. Jorginho, Karl.
I'll give Jorginho. This is a tough one. I'll give Jorginho a 6, despite the fact he was he was the main talisman, the main architect of the goal that we scored. I just feel like sometimes he was getting rushed off the ball a little bit, and he's not as fast on his reactions as Thomas Partey is. And I just feel like sometimes he could have got that ball off a little bit quicker, and he got caught. There's too many times I've seen that happen. But I give Jorginho a 6.
Yep. King, what are we giving Granit Xhaka?
Probably a 6 as well. I think. Yeah. He got the goal, didn't he? Nah. We don't do halves, do we? Like 6.5 or
mate,
7.
we don't do 6 halves, boy.
It's difficult because I think he was doing all right in the first half, man. But yeah, I think 6. Even though he got the goal, I don't think he has had as an assured performance as he could have. And yeah, I do think that build up to the goal, the misplaced pass there, just really is just sticking into my mind. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, I do feel it's one of the games that the defensive players definitely score higher than the attacking players today. And with that, Fabio Vieira. So last week he was my man of the match. If anyone saw the show, this week, yeah, I can't score him like I scored him last week. I'm not going to be as harsh as some of the other people because I think we are quick as a fan base to turn on the new guy or turn on the one change in the game. So you're going to see a lot of hate for Vieira today. I don't think he was as bad as everyone's making out. Again, I'm not sure what you lot are seeing in group chats, but I'm seeing everything pointing at this guy's direction.
I do think it's difficult with Vieira, like, because I agree with what you're saying, Carl. Like, where like technically he's astute. Do you know what I mean? Like with the ball,
Yeah.
he's like he's awesome. But I just think, yeah, like the physicality and the pace of this league, and just in general, I think that's what he needs to like skill himself up on. But I think also, like in general, because we've been using the same 11 in the league, I think we've got to like kind of like get used to, like with City, you see them rotate one or two or three players and it's seamless because those guys have had like so many years of getting minutes and
Yeah.
they're like able to do it and like do it a lot more seamlessly. And I think that's Arsenal's next stage of evolution. And I think Vieira's part of that. And yeah, like I just think next pre-season, and when he comes back next season, when he's playing more minutes in the domestic cups again and earlier group stage Champions League games, I think that's when we're going to see him kick on. I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think my internet cut out a little bit, but I agree with you on that. Physically, he's not quite where he needs to be, is he?
Yeah,
However,
that's what
there's
it is.
quality there, and some
Yeah, the
games
quality there,
are made for
you can
some
do it.
players, some games aren't. Do you know what I mean? And it's not easy. It's not easy getting pressed like that sometimes. But we move on. I'll give him a 5. I don't think he did enough in the final third, but I don't feel he's as bad as everyone's making out. And this defeat is definitely not on him.
No.
As an individual, I think it's a team. It's a team. It's a collective. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'll give him a 5. We move on to Martinelli for you, Kyle.
Tried its hardest. I mean, he was part of Xhaka's goal, obviously with the first shot from the rebound. I'm probably going to give Marty a 6. And that's not, and by the way, not adding to that as well. He missed the penalty. That's not number I'm adding to that either. I just think that game, I think he just didn't quite, he didn't have his shooting boots on in the final third. It just sort of like, it just wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite there tonight for Marcel, I don't think.
I just want to say he's been outstanding this season, and like he's had a bit of a difficult time. But then, like in recent games, I think when Trossard has played in front with him as opposed to Nketiah, I just really feel for him, man. You know, like
I don't like this narrative with this Nketiah talk. Like the styles and I get it. What thing brings? But
no, I think it's a noticeable difference.
No, but
like the impact
yeah, but sometimes for me, you still got to do more as an individual. Like you can't sit there and say, "Oh, he's
not
playing, so I'm not gonna." Do you know what I mean? It's very easy to blame, but I think a game like today, Eddie Nketiah is very helpful.
It's not blame. It's just a case of like Nketiah's game. Nketiah's game is completely. Hang on, sorry, Gumsa. Like Nketiah's game has been geared and cultivated around being a poacher. Like his all-round game is improving leaps and bounds, no doubt. Yeah, but when you look at Trossard and when you look at Jesus when they're on their game, like their all-round facets, you can tell are more naturally developed and are more at a developed stage. And these things really help Martinelli. Like because like when he is like when they do kind of like because they switch and they alternate like the movement. I don't think quite yet Nketiah has developed that part of the game where the interchanging with Martinelli can be as seamless and it can help him. I'm not saying. Look, I'm not like. I'm not slating Nketiah for that at all. I'm just saying that like Nketiah's game has not up until this point been developed in that way, and whereas these guys have developed that more naturally, and it does help Martinelli. You know, like but
I just say again, relationships like everything in football, it does help, but equally, Nketiah's game is never going to be Jesus's game or Trossard's game when they play through the middle. So what Martinelli has to do is find another way. So right the second. So when Nketiah plays, again, it's almost like a Haaland striker. He might score more goals than your wingers when Nketiah. So our style has to change a bit because Nketiah is going to be a focal point. Today, there was 3 or 4 good little crosses into the box. We had nothing in the middle because Trossard's dropping deep, which is his game, which is fine. So for me, yes, Martinelli's going to score more goals with Jesus and with Trossard playing through the middle. 100% he score more goals because they're come out to left. He can run through the middle and he'll score. My issue is if Eddie's in the middle, then he has to do more out on the left. So yes, he might not score as much goals. I'm not going to judge him on that. What I'm going to judge him is, are you beating your player? You got any output at all in this game? And his output had dropped off. Regardless. So again, you have to find a way. It's the same as if Shinchenko plays, if Tierney plays, they're going to play left back differently. Ben White, Tomiyasu, they're going to play right back differently. So yes, we're going to change a little bit of style. However, I feel
I always see Martinelli as more adept. Like you could have like an inverted winger and an inverted forward. Yeah, like I see Martinelli's game being more geared towards being an inverted forward, not like a Mahrez who's like more of a winger that inverts and then looking to kind of
100%.
Get down the byline, find someone in the box, or invert, and thread a ball into the box, through the eye of a needle between centre backs or between fullbacks or whatever. I see Martinelli as like being that guy that is going to cut in and get his shot.
Very similar to Rashford, isn't he? He's very in the mold of when Rashford plays on the left. And I agree. I feel he does. And to be fair, I feel Karl, your scoring him was quite harsh today. I actually thought he was better than a 6. However, I will go with your score. I understand it, but my thing is, I've been saying it about Saka the last few weeks as well. They're doing some really good stuff, but it's like the end product, the pass is just not in the right area, or they're getting blocked a lot. And this is part of football. Do you know what I mean? Like Sporting, Marcus Edwards had a good game, but the end product today was still. Do you know what I mean? A lot of his crosses got blocked or whatever it is. So yeah, it is what it is. I definitely do agree. I definitely feel he does look better with without Nketiah in the middle. But equally, I feel we need to find other ways because there's going to be times if we get the striker we all want, who's a bit more physical, because I think that's what we lack up front. He ain't coming out on the left side to interchange with you, Martinelli. Like if we get, do you know what I mean? If we have Haaland say in our team, he's not coming out on the left. So you've got to find a way to adapt to play with that different style striker.
That's what City are almost struggling with, isn't it? You know what I mean? Where they've been
it changes a little bit, so we have to find another way. But yeah, we keep moving. Reece Nelson started on the right. I feel he looked alright today again. He looks rapid at the moment, man. He is so sharp. So
he was better in the first half, though. I would say that much.
He died off. Yeah, he died off in the second. But he put one wicked ball across the box actually for Jesus, almost got on the end.
Yeah, that was saved earlier on. Yeah.
I will give him a 7. Just because again he hasn't played much and he's performing and he's working, and I'm not saying that's a give. I think everyone in Arsenal has to work hard, and that's why you're seeing Nelson in Arsenal, not Pepe, because you're seeing the tracking back in that. But yeah, I feel he shows glimpses. I think he's definitely got a role
there's something there
in the running. Yeah, he's definitely got a role.
He's changed my perspective because at the beginning of the season I was just like, probably to move him on, but happy to keep him around now. I think
definitely. So we give him a 7. Karl, Jesus, 45 minutes. Don't think it was an injury. I think it was in the game.
It was just game time, and it was just game time, and he looked like he hadn't missed a beat. I mean, the one link up we're still waiting to see when he does get back to full fitness is Jesus and Saka, because I think the league's not ready for that combination. I generally don't.
Even Trossard as well. I think him and Trossard.
Jesus, yeah. You put Trossard on the left with Jesus up top and Saka on the right. Oh my freaking good luck. Just good luck. I'll give Jesus a 7 actually. Because the player saw him. Yeah, he did have a couple of shots. He hasn't still got his scoring boots on. But you could see what he is trying to do. And the link-up play that he had today with Reece Nelson and with Martinelli as well, it's bedded in around him. He will start scoring again. We're just waiting for it. But for me, overall, great. His control on the ball, his skill is just spot on. It looks like he hasn't missed a beat. He hasn't had any injury for about 3 or 4 months. But yeah, I give Jesus a 7. It was only for 45 minutes, but still.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. I've been calling it for a while. I want to see Trossard in the 8 next to Odegaard, Jesus up front, Martinelli and Saka. That would be purring. I know defensively we might give away a little bit, but I'm all about the attacking football. So that for me would be.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? We got the brick wall known as Thomas Partey. What are you on about, man?
That is true. That is true. The great wall of Partey. Right, let's get into some subs. Obviously, we've done Holding already, and we've done Ben White. So I think the next one on was Partey, which GunnerKing you then get.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 7. You know that. I think when he came on, like, he shored things up. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and maybe could have come on a bit earlier because I think, with the pace and the power that he got, it kind of like helped match up with their midfield where they had that, and we looked like a lot more settled when he came on.
Yeah.
It kind of tapered off again when they made their substitutions. You know what I mean? And the unfortunate thing is, like, the injuries and upset the rhythm of us being able to kind of respond in kind. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 7 for that reason. Few good passes, few good tackles. He's just Mr. Reliable, isn't
he? Yeah, he's different level. I'm not going to argue at all with that one. Next sub, Saka. Probed a little bit. Couldn't do much with what openings he had. I think it's like he looked at the rain today, and I think that killed him because he had about 2 or 3 where it just got away from him, like balls from Odegaard. I give him I've been quite harsh on him. I give him a 6. Again, I don't think he was as good as Partey or Odegaard when they come on. But
I
he
think that's
looks
fair.
a bit better than what I've seen recently. But yeah, we just couldn't get the end product, could we? Which again, you've got to look at your front line for that. We haven't scored Trossard yet, have we?
No.
No, so yeah, sorry, he got on earlier. So Karl, you get Trossard.
Do you know what? I think Trossard. I think this may sound like an absolute hot take, but from what I was watching, I think that was one of Trossard's worst games for us.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he didn't have his greatest of games. His final touch wasn't there. His ability just wasn't there in this game. I don't know why. I'll give Trossard a 6 when he came on. I mean, we could have kept Jesus on for another 15 minutes or so, maybe to give him an hour time. But it seems like Arteta wanted to keep Jesus under wraps, so I can understand why. But Trossard just wasn't at the races today, so I give Trossard a 6.
Yeah, no arguments again. Oh, Odegaard then. He's the last one, I believe. King, what are you giving Odegaard? Your son of Odin.
I think, yeah, like I would have given him a 7 if he was on a bit longer, but I don't think he was on long enough to get more than a 6, really. But he was good.
You reckon? I think he can still get a 7. I feel he really showed today.
I mean, I wouldn't argue, to be honest. Yeah, I would have said, yeah, like 7.
Hold on. Carl, you got a decided vote, 6 or 7?
7. He changed the complexion of the midfield. I know Thomas Partey sewed it all up, but you saw when Odegaard came on, he was doing everything to try and get that ball moving forward, whereas Fabio Vieira wasn't. When Odegaard came on, you could just tell we were getting the ball through. Sporting were more than happy then in extra time when Odegaard came on just to sit back because they knew the ball was starting to play through the channels a bit more, starting to play through the lines. We missed Odegaard tonight. We missed him. We missed him.
Him and Partey are like they're a tandem partnership, isn't it? Because it's what he does off the ball as well with his pressing, like, but also just with the ball, he's just got that bit of quality, and he's a bit more physical when he is pressing and getting into people's faces. A bit more difficult to shrug off the ball than Vieira is at this stage.
100%. Yeah, I think it was definitely a miss. I'm not mad at him not starting. I'll be honest with you. I still feel we had enough to win that game, and let's get on to that.
It's a case of biting the bullet. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you look at City now, the rhythm they're in when they take players out and it's seamless. The reason it is because at one point they bit the bullet, where they were just like, we're just gonna change. We're just gonna change. We're gonna rotate it. And I think like next season and a half to 2 seasons, that's what you'll see. Do you know what I mean?
Let's get into Arteta straight. Let's get a quick score on him. We've gone way over on the time. But yeah, Arteta, I'll let you go first, Karl. Go on, you can have it. What are you giving Arteta today?
Might sound very critical of me, but I think I'm going to give him a 5.
Ooh.
Sorry, I just think
I'm going to let you have 30 seconds to explain your 5.
Basically, the lineup. When you saw the lineup, everyone says hindsight is a wonderful thing. But after watching that game and seeing that lineup right now, I'm thinking Yeah, Partey and Odegaard should have started today. I didn't. I had them starting in my lineup. I had the midfield three. It was for me. It was Partey, Odegaard, and Vieira. I would have rested Xhaka, and I was disappointed. We got pushed into the subs. I'm not blaming Arteta for that. We got pushed into the subs because Saliba and Tomiyasu went down with an injury. But I just think he could have made some sub. He could have made, he could have made better subs. Like bring Partey in earlier, bring Odegaard in. If he'd done that, we may have had more success. Not generally in the 90 minutes, but probably in extra time, and probably would have got the job done then. So probably Craig echoes the same as me. So
yeah, King, what are you going to give him then?
I'd actually give him a 7. For me, as I said, I think it's a short-term pain, a long-term game. We need to start trusting our squad players. We need to start utilizing the squad more, like the full range of it. We do have more depth than people give us credit for, especially in the attacking areas now. Now we brought Jorginho in, and we brought Trossard in. Nelson as well, and I think those guys did okay. I think maybe Vieira didn't have his best game, but he was all right. But I think, I would have done the same thing he did. Like if we look at the team lineup that I picked, I took out a lot of people. So I'll go with a 7.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand what everyone's saying. If we play our full 11 both games, we probably win that. I do agree with it. However, if we don't know, this is my argument against the Bournemouth game where Xhaka didn't play, and there was a lot of criticism. And I said, but we don't know what his stats are. We don't know what his run is like. We don't know what his where he is on the red line. So he plays one more game, he breaks down. He could be him for the season out. So as a manager, you have to make certain decisions. It's easy to say keep playing your same 11, you're going to win every game. Like we've got more of a chance. We all know that it's a better team, but Saka looks like he needed that rest. Like he hasn't been up to boil. If Partey breaks down, we've seen what can happen to our team when Partey's not there. So you have to. What as much as we want to win both competitions, our preference at the moment, mine anyway, is the league. I think everyone will say the same as the Premiership.
You should be firing on all fronts to win in your respective sports.
I understand that.
I don't take that bullshit. Sorry.
I understand that, but
Odegaard definitely needs a rest as well. He's played like nearly every game.
And I understand exactly what you're saying, Karl. Like we have to go into every game looking to win. And I do feel today he went into the game to win with an element of I have to protect one or two because, like I think Chris said, it's small-term pain for a long-term gain. We could look back on this on Sunday and say, well, we made a big mistake. I think Tottenham did it the other week, didn't they? Where they played Harry Kane in the FA Cup, got beat, and then lost the Premier League next game anyway. So it was like, why rest Harry Kane?
Oh yeah, no, they rested all their players for against Sheffield United. They lost
lost the FA Cup and then got beat
and then they played their full strength squad against Wolves and they also got beat.
Yeah, so I get that. If we lose on Sunday, it seems like, well, we might as well try to win this game.
The thing is, though, GunnerKing said something quite important early on in the stream, and that was the fact that we are screaming out for a European trophy. This is probably the best team we've had in a long while, probably since 2009, when we actually had a legitimate chance of winning a European trophy. And it just seems like that we've just let it slip away from us again.
I hear you. I do hear you. I get your frustrations.
But now we've got the competitive edge over City, right? They're still in the Champions League.
Well, we've got less games. We've got less games to play than City. Let's put it that way.
Right, they've already played significantly more games because they stayed in the Carabao Cup quite late on. They're still in the FA Cup and they're still in the Champions League. So for me, when they're playing in the Champions League, they've still got to play close to a first 11. They pretty much did that against Leipzig. We'll see who they get tomorrow. I think this is a massive, massive, massive advantage. That we've only got the league games to focus on now, and it's a bit of a pain because, I totally agree. I think for me, European heritage we get 1 or 2 European trophies, that's it. I don't want to hear any more from Chelsea fans. I keep saying it, man. You know what I mean?
And
I'd another hour and a half TikTok conversation with some jumped up 18-year-old TikTok Chelsea fans, and they're trying to take the mick. You know what I mean? And it's getting tiring. It is getting tiring. You know? So
I don't think this trophy does anything for our argument. It helps, but people will still say the big Champions League we still haven't got. So even if
of course. But for me, I look at it as just the whole complete cabinet, innit? The shabam, the whole thing, like as a part. Like
ideally, I don't even want to be in this competition for the next 5 years. So I don't feel. Hopefully, we don't even see this competition to even have the chance to win it after. So this hopefully was our last opportunity to win this competition for a little while. But it is what it is. But yeah, guys, I know we can go on for ages. Because we all love the Gooners. Again, this one doesn't feel as bad as some of the other defeats we tasted this season. It's more of a frustration that we're out of another competition. But as King said, we've got one thing to fight for now. It means a lot more rest in between games. So yeah, hopefully these boys can get that one over the line. Hopefully they've learned from some of the mistakes last year we made. But Karl, it's lovely to have you on. King, it's a pleasure as always. Guys in the comments, it's beautiful to have you here. Even you rival fans who only show up when we lose. So I'm hoping we don't see you again this season unless we're jumping on your streams. And I'm pretty sure we'll be on some of your streams before you're on ours again. So but all of us at the Armoury TV, we are out of here. Enjoy your evenings, and we will see you all probably tomorrow for a preview show with Bobby and hopefully a Palace fan. So guys, enjoy your evening. We'll speak on Sunday.
Take it easy.